Hello, everybody. It's My Mind in the Working because, it's 11 a.m. So I'm assuming that I'm the show here. So today I got another special guest. She's come here before and she doesn't have school today. So I was like, may as well just come in. And I'm pretty excited because today it's going to be, I can say, a therapy session by non-professionals. That's how I would describe it. Basically, what's going to happen is that I asked her to ask her friends at school to pretty much gather things that they need advice on. Along with that, I put my own kind of like things that I feel like it's worth getting advice from, just in case you were thinking about it. I don't know. So, beautiful day today. It's kind of weird that yesterday was so sunny and dreading just horrible. Till now, which is so cold outside, but I don't mind. I personally don't mind. So, let's just see how many people are listening. Oh, 5 people are listening. Okay, shout out to you guys. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Woo, yeah, she's celebrating that. That's right. Okay, now, I'm going to be introducing once again to my guest. So your mic is on, so you might talk. Who are you?
Hi. My mic is not on. Either that or my microphone. Oh, my mic is on. Okay. So hi.
I can hear you. Don't.
I'm BK. I was here a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about school and the education system. I'm currently kind of sick right now, so
Did you get
might be
expelled
able to
yet,
hear
or
me.
not yet?
No, I wasn't expelled, thankfully. But a lot of my teachers, I told them about it, and they were like, "Oh, that sounds so cool."
Yeah,
so.
They just talk anything about me. They're probably hoping that you said something good about them, so they just get a raise.
Probably are.
Okay. Well, yeah, as you said, there's a cough button. Yep. Okay. She's sick today, so. By the way, you know what? I feel like it's useless. Okay, so in the studio we have a button called the cough button. And I feel like it's kind of useless because your cough is bouncing off the room, so it's going to my mic, so they can hear you
true.
either way. Okay, anyways. So today, we're going to be talking about advice. And
yes.
I just want to say creds to you because you pretty much got the majority of the advice that we needed.
Yeah, I actually really like this topic because I know that as a high schooler, teens are always looking for advice from anywhere, honestly. So
that is true. I agree. And some of the advice not only applies to high schoolers. I feel like it also applies to different people. Like different people who might go through it as well. Now, do you want to start, Bayanne? I'll read out the thing. I have everything written down. So the first thing is how to lose weight and accept yourself.
Okay, so I've struggled with my weight for the last couple of years of my life.
Same.
So I think one of the biggest tips from my perspective is the first step to losing weight is accepting what your body looks like right now. Because if you aren't okay with what it looks like right now, then how are you going to be able to lose weight? Because it might just be a scary ride for you. Like, oh yeah, you're just going to be looking to shed more pounds and lose weight and change the way you look. But if you don't accept how you are now, it's not going to really impact your future because you're just going to be looking for a more drastic change.
I agree because I feel like the more you're negative towards your body at the moment, the more desperate you're going to be to reach your certain shape. So that's how unhealthy diets start developing.
In terms of like actual tips,
I'm currently kind of on a diet, like a constant diet, but it's not like I'm not aiming to be a certain type, but it's like
you're just like
healthier.
Yeah, I just want to move towards a healthier diet, and I think that's the biggest thing. You shouldn't be moving towards a drastic weight loss diet if you want to lose weight. Like that shouldn't be the first step that you take. You should move towards just like small healthy things, and then slowly those healthy things will add up. If you are looking to lose a lot of weight, it shouldn't be in a short amount of time.
Whether you're gaining or losing weight, by the way. Like, for example, if you want to gain weight, don't overeat. That's kind of bad.
That's not going to help you.
Don't undereat if you're going to lose weight. I feel like that's kind of the worst decision ever. Take it from me.
I think in terms of tips on losing weight, probably the biggest thing, and I tell this to everyone, is drink water.
Oh my God, you don't understand.
Nobody drinks the average amount of water that you should be drinking.
I don't drink my average water, but I do drink a lot of water.
I do drink a lot of water. Over the summer, I think I drink like twice the amount of water that I should be drinking. So when I come to school, it's like I lose all of that. Yeah, you're supposed to be drinking. They say about 64 ounces. That's like a bare minimum. Like you should be drinking more than that.
I can't.
That's about 4 water bottles for those of you who don't. Like 4 average size water bottles.
Coming from me, who's a very unhealthy person, I don't enjoy the drinking water in general because it just doesn't taste like anything.
People think that drinking water is such a difficult thing. But
because
the more you drink water,
the
more you drink water, the thirstier you'll get, and then you'll just end up drinking water. If you just start drinking more water, like I did this thing over the summer. I started drinking more water. It was like in June, and I was like, you know what? I think I need to drink a little bit more water. So I started doing it, and I think I drank like 4 water bottles in the first day.
Oh my
and just in that first week, I was doing that where I was like drinking 4 water bottles. I lost like 6 pounds in that week. Obviously, it did kind of come back a little bit.
And it changes, by the way, whatever we're saying, like it changes depending on each person.
It
like
does.
We're not guaranteeing
this is one thing that I think everyone should really do. And whenever I tell people like, yeah, you should be drinking more water. Water is so good for you. They're always like, oh yeah, I drink like water only when I'm thirsty, and it's like that's so rare within the day. Also, and this is such an important thing, when you're drinking water. Or when you think that you're hungry, most of the time you're actually thirsty. So instead of going and reaching for like a snack, like some pretzels or some chips, go drink some water, and you might be shocked to find that you're actually just thirsty, and you're confusing it with appetite over thirst. So
yeah, some people just eat just for the hell of it, but like also keep in mind that like at least something in fact that I feel like a lot of people should know and a lot of people do know is you can survive a week without hunger, but you
can
can't
survive 3 weeks without food, but you can't
survive a week without water.
You can't survive 72 hours is the maximum you can go without water.
That's crazy.
This is not advice anymore.
But also, I mean, for me, the reason I try to drink as much water as I can is because it really does clear your skin. A lot of people, I've read that so much on Instagram, and I'm like, this is
There
BS.
are so many benefits to water, and I could really go on a long list, but it would honestly take the rest of the show.
more often. Like,
but it's so healthy for you to drink water, and people
I'm just doing
don't
it to clear my skin. Like, I don't have any other reason. I just want to clear my skin, and trust me, it does help a lot.
Another tip I would just give. Like last thing, I guess, before we move on, is smaller portions. I know this is something you're doing. Instead of taking the average amount of like chips you eat per day, if that's what you're doing, maybe just cut it in half. I know and add a little bit more water into that, I guess. Like if you were to just cut up what you eat, or instead of eating 2 portions of something, maybe only try 1.5 or 1. It would help you so much more.
For me, it's kind of a process that I know sounds annoying, but I feel like it's something you have to force yourself just so you can like get yourself used to it. Because right now I'm used to getting small portions, and what's it called? I think for me, like at least how I knew it was a big change was, yeah. So sorry, I was just waving at somebody. So one thing I would say that is. It showed that it was highly effective was for example, in a Wawa sandwich, the regular one that's like the classic roll.
This is a good example though.
No, yeah, I used to eat the entire thing. I think the most pizzas I've ever eaten in the past was 5 pizzas, and now I can't even eat 2. Like it's
if
a drastic change.
If you just slowly start to like decrease your portions, it will really start to add up in the future.
So much.
And it not only are you losing weight, but you're also eating less, and it's a lot.
And keep
better
in mind
for you.
also that what's it called? Like even though I was able to eat classic roll back then, now I can't even eat half. Like I can only eat half of it, and I think that it's a good and a bad thing because you can adjust the way around. But I think there's a moment in my life where I decreased so much, like my portion, like drastically, like coming from 3 plates per meal. Like a food when I'm eating with my family, then to 1 plate, that's a drastic change, and I should have taken it step by step. So take your time with like decreasing your portions, and
yeah, and it doesn't have to be every single meal that you eat. Like dinner, you should still be eating the same amount of food, but when it comes to like snacks or dessert, maybe just decrease your portions a little bit. And I've been trying to implement that into my life.
And like so far, like when I first drastically changed my proportions, like my metabolism was just quaking. Like it was so bad, and I had this like little health problem, but I'm good now because I adjusted to it. But like take your time with the portions. Don't go too crazy. But I highly recommend taking a plate. Like if, for example, if you're at the gathering with a potluck kind of thing, just take a little bit of each. You don't need to eat a lot of it. And also another thing I found out that you can like helps you like lose weight is to like eat food because you want to enjoy the actual food, not because you just feel like it, or you like don't go on your phone or go on, watch TV while you're eating. You just have to just
eat slowly.
Don't distract yourself while eating.
That's such an important thing. I've learned that over the years.
And eat slowly as well because it helps your stomach digest.
Yes, it'll help you digest. You'll eat a lot less, and you'll actually enjoy the food that you're eating. You're not just like scarfing it down.
Yeah, no, that was disgusting. Okay, well, we're gonna go to the next one, which is how to study for a test. And I feel like, again, that just for different people.
This is such a major problem that people have today because everyone has different ways that they study or different ways that they learn. But I think that in the end, school is testing us. And I think that we were talking about this a little bit when I was here. School is testing you to do different things, to try different styles of learning and teaching. And so you should be able to adapt to different situations. So studying, you should be able to study in different ways. Obviously, everyone has their own tips and tricks to studying. But
so what do you do?
So personally, it depends on the kind of test. If it's a vocab test or if it's something where you're just definitions, word, that's a Quizlet kind of thing. There's a lot of different things on Quizlet that I think people should take more advantage of. But overall, Quizlet is actually a very helpful resource. So
absolutely. I feel like, especially when memorizing stuff, like, what's it called? You have to, like, Quizlet is a really good choice because, like, if you're memorizing, I don't know, like, Spanish vocab word or like muscles in like a skeletal system.
I take German, and so it's so incredibly helpful when you're able to make that connection between words. Like I personally, this is also not necessarily like a Quizlet thing, but when it comes to studying, not just in German, but in all different kinds of language or in all different kinds of subjects, one of the major things I look for is like association with words. Like if the word starts with the same, letter as the definition, I can like put that link together. So I always try to look at like the letters or the way that the letters are written. It's more of a brain thing that I personally have.
Yeah. A lot of people have that as well, but even along with Quizlet, you can do flashcards, but at least for me personally, I don't like flashcards. I like doing it on the computer because it's way easier. And like flashcards, like my handwriting's bad, and like
handmade flashcards, I can't do that.
You have to write the entire thing. It's so time.
It's not that it's just writing the whole thing because then you're writing it down, you're able to drill it. But I don't know. I've just never been able to like look at a flashcard, flip it over, and like make that association.
I mean, yeah, same. I mean, I don't know, like that, we have that option. Also, one thing I say is that I always like keep in mind that really helps a lot for me at least, is that I manipulate my mind in a way that like, I tell myself, if you finish this thing, you literally could be done. Like, just get it over with and you're done. Like, you can... I like promise myself, I literally have conversations with myself, but I promise myself, I'm like, you can go play this thing if you're done with it, just get it over with. Like, and that's how I kind of change my mind with it. And I eat snacks during it also. It really helps. You can't just not eat whatsoever. You have to eat during your studying.
Yeah, I think you shouldn't have like too many snacks where it's like, if I get through every 10 pages, I have like...
Get closer to your mic.
No, every 10 pages I have like a snack, but it should be like, oh yeah, at the very end of all my studying, I'm gonna reward myself with some ice cream. It should be something like
you have to reward yourself. That's one thing I'll say. Reward yourself. Like,
because not only do you have something to work towards, but it feels like you're studying, like you completed something.
It helps a lot. Rewarding yourself just makes you feel like, oh, okay, I should keep this going.
The best form of studying that I found this year especially, and a little bit of last year, was notes. And I know that last year it was a lot less for me. Like, I didn't really take too much notes, but this year it was so heavy on notes for me. And as dreadful as it is to take notes, sorry.
Yeah, that's also part of the advice, is coughing. Yeah. You have to cough in order to survive a test. And at least for me, I've never done the gum thing where you have to eat the gum, chew gum during studying, and then the day of the test you have to eat the same type of gum.
I don't do that.
I've never done that.
I think that could work, but the best thing for me, oh my god, my voice just changed. The best thing for me is looking over notes. Oh my god.
Do you need water bottle or something? My brother's here. He could just like sprint.
It's good. We're back.
He can motorcycle
looking over notes. It's so incredibly helpful for me to look back at notes. And I was talking to this with my sister a while ago, but something that I've realized for me, I don't know if other people have this, is the way I write things down is so helpful, because then when it's time on the test to like write like an open response or a constructed response, I just remember the way I wrote a specific word, and then I just remember the entire thing, and I'm like, this is so cool. But
no, I've never had.
That's why I look over notes, because notes are just so incredibly helpful for me to look back on all of them in all subjects, like history especially, math, English. If I'm just able to look back at my notes, the way I wrote things down, what I wrote down, I find that it's so helpful.
For me, like, even sometimes when I'm on a test and, like, I don't remember something, I just remember, like, what my notes looked like.
Yeah, like visually what it looks like, not like what
as if I took a picture with my mind.
Exactly.
Again,
See,
that changes for each person.
It.
Yes, okay. So I feel like we're going to stop for today, and then I'm going to go on with the next song. And by the way, this playlist...
Stop for today as in put on the song, not like the radio.
For the entire day. That's it for the show. Bye, guys. No. So this playlist is dedicated to, like, kind of... How do I say this? Like...
It's a little uplifting.
Uplifting, kind of like, you got this, kind of motivational. So... to the next advice, we got tips to help with social anxiety.
Oh, one of my friends sent this in. I really hope she's listening. Okay, so especially when it comes to being a teenager in high school, there's so many places and things going on, and you just want to feel like you're fitting in.
I keep forgetting about the background music.
When it comes to social anxiety, I'm just going to talk about it as if you're going into high school for the first time, which I did go through last year. You need to find your crowd. And I know that's such a scary thing to do, and go out and like kind of make yourself a little bit vulnerable to the different types of people in high school. But if you know who you are, or if you have just a general idea of the kinds of people you want to hang out with, you got to go and you got to just take a risk and try to be friends with them.
I feel like even if you can't walk up to them straight to their face, I feel like one good thing to do is, for me at least, that it works to show that you're like willing to talk to people, is smile. I feel like smiling during class.
It's such a small thing that like some people will notice.
And even if you want to force yourself to do it, like I feel like, at least for me, work that it shows that you're an approachable person.
Like,
yes.
Even if you're scared, you should smile, because it shows that you're a friendly face and someone will remember you in the future. Like if they see you, they're like, oh yeah, you smiled at me once. Like, what's your name? Like, you know.
It shows that you're an approachable person. I feel like it helps a lot. And maybe even that person talks to you, they don't feel comfortable talking to you, but like they force themselves to talk to you. So just think of it as like someone taking a risk and talking to you instead, like, because not everyone is like confident to just talk to anybody,
especially if you're in a new environment. And if you're scared of interacting with people that you don't know, even if you're there with like 2 or 3 people that you do know and you're scared of talking with other people, like I said earlier, fake it until you make it. Make it look like you're a lot more confident than you are until you actually are confident.
Which is sad.
Well, originally it could be kind of sad because you're just sitting there and you're trying to make it look like you're happy, and then eventually it will become the truth, and you will become more confident, and you'll start to make more friends in that way. And you can do that in classes, both classes and clubs. They say that clubs is the best way to meet new people, and it definitely is. Join as many clubs as you think that you're going to enjoy, and if you don't like some of them, then drop them.
That's true. No, I agree, because even like, and one thing I'll say right now, social media helps nothing when it comes to social.
No,
being
it doesn't.
Social. Absolutely not, because it's like a barrier you're like hiding in it. It's like, no, it doesn't help anything.
But when it comes to clubs, you start meeting people like you, of all different age groups. Like I know for a fact that I have friends across all years of high school, like freshman all the way to senior, and it's so helpful. And then when you start to make friends through clubs, then you might start seeing them in your classes, and you might start having friends in your classes, and then eventually you have a lot of different friends, and it kind of eliminates that anxiety that you have. So what if you're not talking to like a huge group of people? You got your group of friends, and they understand who you are. So
yes,
that's a good way to
but definitely I would say
anxiety.
Clubs, absolutely, and just smile all the time. I actually, one thing that's a little like, it's kind of tiny, but if you're gonna if the teacher asks a question, it's like it gives you an opportunity to answer the question. Like, just be more social there without even talking straight to a person. Just interact with the teacher, because like the teacher might like talk to you during class, and like people that's kind of how I would say it. Like,
just do what you like, and then you'll find people along the way who like what you do.
Absolutely, yes. Okay. The next one I'm going to move on to is how to be nicer to people. And honestly, I can help so much with it because I'm a very nice person.
I really hope that the person who gave me this is listening to the show. Someone specifically, I was like, like I need some advice.
Pretty straightforward.
I need to give some advice on something for a radio show. What is something I could talk about?
How to be nice to people.
How to be nicer to people. And I was like, is there a story behind this? Like, that's...
No, honestly, I don't know how to word this, but like, how to be nice to people is to not have a negative heart. Don't be a
Yeah.
negative Nancy. That's one thing I'll start with.
Don't go into a situation or like a specific area with like a bad vibe. Like, don't go in thinking that you're not going to enjoy a specific situation.
And
or
smile. I feel
if
like
there's someone there
smiling
that
help.
you know you're not going to like, or if there's something going on there that you know you don't necessarily enjoy, don't go in there thinking, oh yeah, this is going to ruin my entire event or evening or whatever.
You don't. No.
Just go in with like a good heart and an open mind, and it'll help you be nicer to other people and only interact with those that you know you're going to be nice to. And then eventually you might just start to develop into a nicer human being, and I think it could really work out.
And I feel like just in general, being a negative Nancy is really, it really impacts you, because like if you all of a sudden started thinking of this person like, oh, this person is freaking ugly or something like that, like don't try to get those thoughts out of the way. Be like, hey, I shouldn't be saying that, and just move on with your life.
I think a lot of people have the issue of not being nice to people, especially among their friends. I know that that's like, oh yeah, like among your friends you're allowed to joke around with them, but like you notice sometimes that some of your friends like take jokes too far, and you just don't have them like the heart to speak up with them.
Try to surround yourself with good people. Don't surround yourself with negative people.
If there are people, this actually goes out to people who are like that. Like if you shouldn't take a joke too far. Obviously, a joke among your friends does go a little bit, and it should be, you know, playful and fun. But if you start to realize that you're taking a joke a little bit too far and it's kind of getting a little bit inappropriate, then you should kind of stop. That should be a point where you realize, like, especially if your friend is getting a little bit uncomfortable with it.
Yeah, you need to understand that, what's it called? Your surroundings are probably the one thing that will actually shape you, especially in high school, middle school, all of that. Because, like, if the people are saying, for example, peer pressure, that if they peer pressure you to do bad stuff, it's gonna make you a bad person. And I just feel like having positive thoughts, be very optimistic.
Yeah, don't just like insult little things that people do, even if you think that you know that person. Yeah, it's unnecessary. It's like,
it's not gonna help you. It's any of that. So just,
if you're just like complaining about something like, oh yeah, like I don't want to be in this class, don't just come at someone like, oh yeah, you're always complaining about this class.
Because karma could bite you in the butt. Like, you need to understand that, like, if you're not nice to people, then nothing good is gonna happen to you in the future. Like,
if you're not nice to people, people aren't gonna be nice to you back.
Exactly. And even if you're just mean to everybody and just horrible to like freaking Mother Nature, then it's gonna bite you back later. And I feel like that's something you need to be aware of. And just being nice, coming from me, like, whenever I do any act of kindness to somebody, it just makes me so happy. Like, I don't know about you, but like it makes me genuinely so happy that like I wish I had $1 million just to give away for people.
Yeah, brightens your day a little bit. Like, you know that you
So
did something
much.
nice for other person. Like if you just open a door, or if
No,
you say
honestly,
thank you
no,
to
genuinely.
a teacher who hands something out to you. It's the smaller things that kind of like impact your day, and they lead to like a big change.
And don't think
within you.
in a way that, like, for example, if you made someone happy, it doesn't give you the thoughts of like, oh, why can't I be happy like that? Why can't someone treat me like that? Instead of like saying those thoughts, just focus your goal on being nice to people, doing the small acts of kindness, like compliment someone's outfits. That's a good start. And opening doors, as you said, like those little things, and then work your way up. And trust me,
and like I said, like we already kind of mentioned, if you're with your friends, don't insult like little things. Like, don't kind of come at them.
It's so unnecessary.
Especially if they're having a bad day. Like, it's just unnecessary. Like, don't push a joke too far.
No. And honestly, like, just, again, being nice really makes you happy. Trust me. And if you're nice to people, they're not going to be mean to you, because there are some people out there who are like horrible, who would take advantage of your niceness. And that is kind of a wake-up call, not to make you more mean. It makes you think, oh, I don't want to be like them. I want to keep being nice. And that's at least something for me. When I was bullied a lot in the past, like, the one, I kind of thought of it as a way to be like, oh, I don't want to be like them, so I'm going to be the total opposite. So that's how I just continue to become a nice person in general. And yeah, I feel like people will be nicer. Most likely people are going to be nicer to you and think of you as a nice person and give you good vibes, as long as you're just kind to everybody. Mm-hmm. That's at least something from me. The next one you gave me, which I was a little hesitant because, like, I don't know. It says how to survive being a teenager.
Yeah, this is
everything we're gonna talk about today is how you survive being a teenager. That's something I'm saying right now. That's my advice. Just listen to this radio show. By the way, get a plug in a little bit of my Facebook. Okay, go to montcoradio.com, go to the calendar, click my Mind of the Working, and then just like my Facebook page for behind the scenes. Little plug in. I love how we both moved away from the mic, so for me to laugh and for you to cough. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything to say for this one. I really don't.
I think I do. Okay, so this is something I've kind of learned these are like little tips that I've learned being a teenager and especially going into high school. But especially when it comes to being a teenager, there are a lot of different things going on that that could really help, or that could really break you down. And especially as a teenager, you're really susceptible to different things going on. It just got like so deep. But, and this is kind of there were only like 2 or 3 things that I really wanted to focus on for this, is that as a teenager and as a teenager in high school, the one thing that you should take out of, or you should go into school every single day and you should take out of school every single day is everything manages to work out, whether you believe in it or not.
No, honestly, every time, like, I know it's very, like, most of the things we're going to say right now is very, like, you've heard it so many times, but the reason you hear it so many times is because it's actually true. It's not something you just slip out of your tongue. Someone said this to me a couple weeks ago, and this person is not someone I particularly, am friends with, but it just really stuck with me that, like, you might be studying for a test, or you might be going through a breakup, or something might just be going on in your life, and you feel like it's really weighing you down. But in the end, everything just kind of works out, and you have to trust that process. It might even take 10 years, 5 years, but something will work out. Even if you don't, in the end, you need to trust that it's gonna work out, and it always does. And even if you find that little good thing that happens in the future, I feel like it's gonna give you a feeling of, wow, I really fought my way through this, and makes you really proud of yourself. Like, trust me, there are things that will get better in the future. Like, actually, it differentiates for each person. Even if right now, wherever you are, the place you're in, like, you're just kind of like, okay, there's no way this can get any better. It will. Trust me, I've been through that so much, and I'm in a good place right now, and trust me, it really takes time for it.
Yeah, but like a couple months ago, I was in such a bad place when it came to school. Like, I had so much work, and I was just so stressed all the time, and I didn't have time for my friends. I didn't have time to be with my family. It was so sad. And obviously, it's not going to get any better going on because I'm going to be a junior next year. It's only going to get more stressful. But it just, when I heard those words, vibes, everything works out, it just stuck with me in the sense that, like, I knew that I was going to do well on whatever I was doing. And I knew that even if I wasn't going to do well, it was going to be all right. Like, it just doesn't really, you don't have to think about it too much, because in the grand scheme of, like, things, it's not going to impact your life all that much. So just know that, like, everything has a place in this world, and in the end, it's all gonna work out. My voice just got so nasally.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna move on to the next one, and the next one is how to prepare for a job interview.
Ooh, this is it right here. So I'm actually in the process of applying for jobs right now, and when I mean by that is I haven't applied to anything, but I have everything ready to apply. I'm ready to apply, but my mom literally came up to me this morning and she was like, "Are you gonna start applying to jobs?" Yeah.
Just get on.
Okay, but last week, I actually did have an interview. I haven't told anyone about this, so it's the perfect time to talk about it. But I applied to an internship at a hospital. Ooh. And my interview was last week, and it was the scariest thing I have ever had to go through in my life. I was so scared.
You FaceTimed me like
the night before. I literally was crying to my parents. I was like, I don't want to go. I'm not going to get this job.
On the stairs?
Yeah. No, I wasn't actually crying, but like I was on the brink of tears, and my mom was like, "You're gonna go." But I've been through this kind of process before, not necessarily to like a job, because I think it's a little bit more low stress when it comes to a job. But this interview was really scary because it was at a hospital, and there were so many professional people there. Whenever they like introduced themselves, they had really important titles, and like it was really, really scary. We were in like really nice offices.
It's like, hi, I'm the executive director of the association.
He literally
of this
said
company
director of like all the different. God. I met with 4 different people, and they all were so like high positioned people, and I was really scared. But in terms of preparing, the biggest thing that I think you can prepare, the biggest thing that I think you should do when it comes to preparing for an interview is looking up questions online. And I know that that's kind of like, I think anyone can come up with that. But it's so important. And most importantly, you need to practice with someone. you need to sit down with someone, just be like, yo, can you ask me one of these questions? I want to be able to make my answer like the best as I can be. Think of your answer. You shouldn't just go to an interview like winging your answer. You need to be thoughtful. It's so difficult when they sit there and they ask you a question because you'll go blank. But if you have your answers prepared, if you know, you should be passionate with your answers. You shouldn't just come up with something generic that anyone else would say. You should think of something that's special to you, and think of something that is special to this company or wherever you're applying. Like when it came to the hospital, I wasn't going to sit there and be talking about like how I don't know, I don't like history class, something like that. I should be talking about things that would be useful. So a lot of the things that I focused on was how my favorite course is biology and how I'm doing really well in that class and how I plan on going into something medical related. So you need to be focusing on things that are related to what you're applying to. So
I definitely had advice for it because I went to a job interview recently, and of course
you've been to like a job interview.
Job interview. No, but mine wasn't as like generic as a typical one because they didn't ask me like the typical questions, so I can't say that I'm the best example. But
all advice is good advice. So.
But I think one thing I'll say is number one, be positive about it. Don't ever say like, oh, I hate it, or rant. Don't rant. Don't say anything negative. Be very positive because that's the good first impression. That's number one. Number two is lie. As much as I
I wouldn't say that.
No. You have to lie. Like there's some things you literally
don't
have to lie about. Like not like, oh, I'm a millionaire kind of lie. No, like say lie as a way, like for example, how do I say this? Like for example, if you, I don't know how to say it. If you sit on your butt at home on your bed like the entire day and you're lazy, you can say, for example, like, oh yeah, I work around the house sometimes, like I keep myself busy. Like,
but you actually do that though.
No, like not for me, like just for like in general, like if someone is very lazy at home, you can say things like, oh yeah, I keep myself busy and stuff. Because if you're too honest, that's kind of dangerous. That's one thing I'll tell you.
You should leave out the details that they don't want to hear. You have to be very simplistic. This is what I was saying. Don't talk about things that aren't relevant to the job that you're applying for. Like, so if you're, so I volunteered at a library for a couple of weeks last year. So if I'm applying to, let's say, Barnes & Noble, because I love that place.
Of course, books.
The one thing I would probably talk about is how I volunteered at a library, so I have experience in like putting books back, understanding how the Dewey Decimal System works.
Yeah, you can say like, I'm very organized, like that kind of thing.
You have to talk about things relevant to the interview. Also, when it comes to actually being at the interview, it's like giving a presentation. And I know that's very scary, but don't fidget, don't look down.
You
like
just look to one
eye
person.
contact is so incredibly
important. Oh my god,
important.
when you're shaking their hands, you have to look at them straight in the eyes, like stare into
Firm
their soul.
handshake. Don't let them be the person who's shaking your hand. You should be shaking theirs.
Yes. There's also one thing I'll say is it's really important, trust me. At the end, they're going to tell you, do you have any questions? Usually when anybody, even teachers, when they're teaching a lesson, they're like, do you have any questions? Usually nobody says yes. This one, you have to ask questions even if you're not interested in it. Like, you can ask questions that you're not interested in, but like it shows that you care.
Yeah.
So, for example, again, that's lying kind of thing. And for example,
not necessarily lying, but like if you're trying to get the job, you need to look like you're interested in this position. And if you do have questions, then you should ask them. Like, even if you think it might be a stupid question or something that they might not.
You have to ask questions.
And it shows that you're interested and it shows that you care.
Minimum 3 questions. That's one thing I'll tell you.
Yeah.
And so one thing I would say is one question that I feel like worked really well with mine, and it shows that they really care about it. Like, no, not really care, but like they really like this question, is to ask the person who's interviewing you, like, why do you like working here so much? Like, tell me what's the good thing about the school, or like this. At least for me, I was a daycare, so I'm saying school. But just be like, why do you like working here? And they get really passionate about it.
Yeah.
So I feel like that shows that like you like, I don't know. That's a really good question.
It reflects good on you to look at like if you're asking them like, what are you passionate about here? It shows that you're interested in also having the same passion that they have. Another question that I think is worth asking. I just had it. I just lost it.
Train of thought.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna talk blah 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 blah. I'm just gonna say that for 10 minutes.
What is something that you would look for in someone working here?
Yes, that's actually one. I was gonna mention that as well. I feel like that, and also
like if we go to the daycare example, like you work at a daycare, you would ask, like, what is something that you would look forward to in a someone who works at a daycare? They could say, like, we want someone who's kind, we want someone who's good with kids, all the good examples.
And I feel like along with the question
and then
of
you
what
could say, like, oh yeah, I'm going to work towards that.
Exactly. And I feel like asking also, like, along with the question of, oh, what do you like what do you like about working here, you can also ask, at least for me, I had it straight in my mind, not like memorized, like I genuinely needed to ask that question, which is the dress codes. You can be like, oh, like, what's the dress code of this?
This
so,
is
like,
something that they typically only address to people who get the job. So
yeah. So that's also one
if
thing
you
as
ask
well.
them that question, it shows that you really want to get this job.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to really give positive vibes in general. So.
Oh, and just in general, please apply to places that you're actually interested in working in.
You don't.
Because if you get a job and you're like, oh yeah, I'm
just
so
for the
happy
money,
I got a job.
like, no. It really shows for people who are doing it for the money or for a passion.
Yeah, so only apply to places that you think you would actually benefit from and you would enjoy the environment, not just the money.
Absolutely. Okay, the next one is spicy. I can tell you right now. We're going from, like, generic number one advice to, like, whoa, drama, tea. Like, the tea is brewing right now, which is how to deal with your friends dating people you don't like.
Okay, so I actually put this in, and
I never experienced it, so I'm gonna keep my mouth shut.
So one of my closest friends currently is dating a specific person that I don't really like. Let's say it's become difficult to hang out with her because, like, she really focuses on him a lot, and like we used to sit at lunch together, and now we can't really sit
my
together
friends are
at
not
lunch.
social, so they never dated anybody.
And like this, I don't want to say that this guy, like, we have like any kind of problems together. It just that I don't, I feel uncomfortable being around her now that she's dating this kind of person. So I was actually hoping that you could talk about this, but I guess
I don't know, like, my friends are just so lonely, and like it never happened. But I think one thing that, what's it called, okay, this is so stupid. Yeah, I feel like one thing that definitely happened to me is both my friends dated for like a week and
week,
but yeah, it didn't last. They realized that they just have to be friends. For me, I'm just standing there like, I ship it, like, the entire time. But I never experienced it with people I don't like, because I don't like, I don't hate anybody. I love everybody.
Is dating someone that I don't like, and I just don't know, like, how to, I want to tell her, because at one point we were so close together, like, we were just best friends, and we could talk to each other about anything. And you think that if your friend started dating someone that you don't like, you could easily tell them, like, especially if it's a close friend, like, oh yeah, like, you should break it to them because it would be helpful. But I couldn't bring myself, and I still can't bring myself to tell her how I feel about it, and I'm so upset, and it makes me really upset. And I don't know if she's listening in on the show, but I just really wish that someone could be there for me. I don't know what to say.
No, I understand. I feel like I can understand the issue, but, like, at least, I mean, for me, again, I'm very optimistic and positive, so I don't have that issue because I love everybody equally. Oh, the door just did that sound, just a warning. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't do that. And actually, the next one is how to deal with friends changing to something they aren't. That's something I put in.
Oh my god. Okay.
And coming right now, I'll tell you right now, it's most likely gonna happen with middle school friends going into high school. I've seen that so much that I'm just kind of like, oh, okay, yeah. My friend is like a little. I asked my brother to do something quick, and we're seeing him through the window. She's dying. Okay, I've seen that happen so many times. With the not my brother being outside the window, but I've seen that happen so many times, and I feel like, at least for me, I've experienced it happen, but I don't like. I mean, most likely your middle school friends are not going to be your high school.
Not just middle school. This happens in high school, especially because you're starting to realize who you want to be, and when you go into high school as a freshman, you might start seeing people that are older than you, and you're like, oh, I want to be like them. And
I've seen acquaintances, peers, literally change so much. Yeah. It's insane.
So I think the biggest thing is if you're especially close to someone, and they start to change a little bit, and it goes on for a couple of weeks or months, you should still try to hold on to the friendship. Even if you should distance yourself if you don't really like this change that they're going through.
Because if they become a bad influence and you're I just want to keep... No, I don't like what you said. Okay, go on.
I think what you should do is you should try. Like, if you don't like the direction they're going in, you shouldn't completely end this friendship that you have with, but you should, stay with them. Maybe it is just like a phase that they're going through, or maybe they are just going through a change and that's who they are, but you should still kind of like, you should accept that they're going through this change and that they want to try new things. And if you are going through the same thing, you should trust that they also want to, or they would also stand by you.
I beg to disagree. The reason for that is because if they start changing into bad people, most likely... most likely for people going from middle school to high school, there's a higher chance that they really want to change themselves to like something
That's
they aren't, that they want to attach themselves so much to it that there's no way they can change from it, that they get so blinded by it that they just don't acknowledge your friendship as much. And if you attach yourself I'm gonna say that
we're both trying to talk.
No, but if you attach yourself to that friend and you're like, oh my god, I know they're changing, but like I really like them, they start becoming a bad influence, and you're too busy being like, I want to keep this friendship so long, it's gonna hurt you.
So I think you should slowly start to distance yourself from them, and at one point you should like really come to the decision, like, is this person someone that I want to spend time with, I want to pursue, I want to keep as a friend, or is this someone that I don't want to associate with anymore? And I've come to realize that it's usually somewhere in the middle when it comes to these situations, that like there are people that I don't necessarily talk to anymore. I might, smile at or wave, but I'm not like friends with them anymore. And it could be because they are with a group of people that you don't necessarily like. And it's not that they're becoming bad people. It just might be like a different group of people. And that's so many people, especially throughout when you're going through high school. Every single year there are different people in your classes, and there might be that one person that's in all of your classes all 4 years. That definitely happens to some people. But every single year it's a different year, and I see different people, and I might become really close with some people one year, and then the next year I never see them again. And it just has to do with the fact that we're different people. We take different classes. We hang out with different
high
people.
school especially, you're going to be separated by a lot.
I think it should just come down to, if you want to put effort into that friendship, if you think this person is going to benefit you and you think that they are a good friend of yours, then you should continue to pursue them. You should continue to be friends with them. Just keep a distance. And if you know in your heart that you this is not someone you should that you don't want to, or know in your heart that this is not someone you want to associate yourself with, you shouldn't just like end this friendship completely. You should just kind of slowly, more and more, kind of like disassociate yourself with them, like kind of move away from them until it's like not, there isn't any more of a relationship. And if they want to still be friends with you and you don't, then you should just straight out tell them like, oh, like we're just different people now, like we're doing different things. Or just don't talk to them.
Usually people, most likely that friend's going to be like,
you made it sound like it was a lot worse, like, oh yeah, people are changing, but it just might be that they're changing and they're trying new things, and that's something that I've come to realize. Like when it comes to me, I'm like a nerd at school.
Nerd.
So like I hang out with the nerds. But there are a lot of my friends people that used to be my friends in middle school that aren't necessarily in this specific group, and I'm really happy of what they've become, because they went out to do different things, and they might not be the greatest of people, or they might not be people that I like to hang out with, because we just have different interests. And so it should just be that you distance yourself, and if you don't like the way they are, then, or if you just have so many differences with them, then you shouldn't hang out with them. But if you just want to, or you have your own group of friends now and you want them to also be with their friends now, then you should just kind of keep it there. But I don't think that you should completely cut people off because you think that they've changed. Like there are good changes that happen, and it could be for the better.
We're gonna have to put this into a close. Okay. So, Bayanne, I literally lost my train of thought. Bayanne, thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
I actually still have still more of a list to talk about, so I might do this again. We still have a couple more things to hit, but I'm not going to be doing that because my show is done. It's 12 o'clock. So, again, Bayanne, thank you so much for coming on.
Anytime,
I really appreciate it. Again, I'm right now still in summer break, so I might do this more often. And yeah, let me just close this up real quick. And yeah, we'll see you guys probably next week.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for listening.
Bye.